In a quiet moment before dawn, the world seemed to hold its breath as a sense of profound urgency pressed upon the heart, a call to awaken to hidden dangers and unspoken truths, to recognize that decisive action could not be delayed. It was as though a timeless wisdom whispered that when family bonds and futures stand at a crossroads, vigilance is not a choice but a sacred duty. The struggle, though unseen, felt real and persistent. Conversations in hushed tones and subtle bargains seemed to swirl like unseen currents around the family, and it became clear that behind everyday life there might be forces, whether human or symbolic, seeking to alter the course of destiny itself. Within this atmosphere of spiritual battle, small incidents that once seemed harmless began to reveal a pattern. Fragments of overheard words, unexplained absences, and an unmistakable sense of betrayal that could no longer be dismissed as mere imagination, for such warning signs, if left ignored, could erode the strongest ties of trust. Amid these rising tensions stood the daughter, bright and full of potential, yet possibly drawn, whether by persuasion or subtle pressure, into decisions she did not fully understand, and so a gentle, wise approach was needed, one that replaced fear with patient guidance and careful listening, because the purpose was not accusation but illumination. In the midst of these concerns, a sustaining promise resonated like a quiet melody of hope, that no matter how fierce the conflict or how cunning the hidden deals, a greater power for restoration and protection always remains, a force that refuses to allow love or destiny to be permanently broken, offering the reassurance that no shadow can endure where steadfast light is invited in. With this assurance came a call to practical action, not of anger or reckless confrontation, but of peaceful preparation, to gather truth like precious evidence, to document carefully and remain calm, for wisdom carries more strength than fury, and clarity is the most formidable ally when confronting anything disguised in secrecy. Alongside these measures grew the recognition that the daughter's heart required not only guidance but also a sanctuary of open communication, a safe space where questions could flow freely and trust could flourish, where she could speak without fear of blame, and where protection meant both shielding her from false accusation and empowering her with understanding so that together the family could stand in truth. To support this journey, a circle of steadfast friends and trusted advisors needed to be chosen, people of integrity who would pray, reflect, and watch over the household with care, reinforcing spiritual resilience with their presence and counsel. Yet vigilance also demanded readiness for the public sphere, the willingness to confront deception directly when necessary, to engage legal and ethical avenues calmly but firmly, ensuring that any hidden agreements that threatened the family's well-being could not remain concealed behind silence or intimidation. All of these efforts, though practical and grounded, were infused with a deeper current of devotion, moments of quiet prayer, words of hope spoken aloud, and the steady conviction that unseen strength meets those who seek it with sincerity, especially in the still hours when the world is silent and the heart is open. As resistance inevitably arose, whether from external forces or from the inner weight of fear and doubt, faith became both shield and compass, calling for steady resolve and the courage to forgive even while remaining alert, because bitterness would only strengthen the opposition while forgiveness clears the path to genuine restoration. And through every challenge, subtle signs of timing and favor emerged like gentle confirmations, unexpected allies appearing, small victories accumulating, and the sense that persistence guided by love and wisdom was quietly turning the tide, ensuring that the story unfolding would not end in loss but in renewed hope and strengthened bonds, a testament to the enduring power of a family that listens, acts, and stands together. With the first wave of resolve firmly anchored, the journey moved deeper into deliberate action, For teaching the daughter discernment and clear personal boundaries became the next essential step, not as a lecture but as a series of heartfelt conversations that emphasized her innate worth, the power of choice, and the courage to say no when pressures, seen or unseen, tried to shape her destiny without her consent. And these dialogues were enriched with real-life examples and gentle wisdom so she could recognize subtle manipulation and stand confidently in her own voice. Empowerment blossomed as she began to see that self-respect is not merely a concept but a practice, a daily discipline of guarding her values and honoring her future, and with each realization the shadow of secrecy that once seemed overwhelming lost more of its power. Alongside this growth came the necessity of embracing forgiveness, not as an act of surrender to wrongdoing but as a strategic release of bitterness, for grudges are silent chains that weaken the heart. Instead, forgiveness served as a key to unlock strength, allowing both parent and daughter to step beyond pain and betrayal without denying the reality of past wounds. This process of mercy opened the way for a restoration that went beyond merely mending what was broken, envisioning a future where lessons learned transformed the family into a source of multiplied grace and resilience, where even the harshest trials were reframed as preparation for a deeper unity and understanding. In quiet evenings, they reflected on how justice and kindness could coexist. Justice in confronting any harmful actions, kindness in refusing to let those actions define the future, creating a balance that prevented anger from poisoning hope. Throughout these days, subtle affirmations continued to appear: a friend's unexpected call at a crucial moment, a sudden insight during reflection that confirmed a benevolent timing was at work, encouraging them to keep moving forward with steady patience rather than rushing decisions. Each small victory, no matter how ordinary, became a celebration of progress, a sign that perseverance anchored in compassion steadily reshaped the landscape of their lives. The parent, mindful of the daughter's emerging independence, shifted from a role of constant protector to that of wise companion, offering guidance while respecting her ability to choose, thereby nurturing mutual trust rather than control, and this mutual respect became a powerful safeguard against future manipulation. As they continued, the importance of community grew clearer. Neighbors, mentors, and longtime friends who shared their commitment to integrity gathered around them, forming a living network of encouragement and accountability that extended the protective circle far beyond the household walls. In this strengthened community, conversations about values, safety, and faith flourished naturally, reinforcing the daughter's confidence that she was never alone in her convictions and that healthy relationships were the true antidote to isolation or deceit. Meanwhile, the parent remained vigilant but calm, understanding that resilience meant more than defensive caution. It meant proactive cultivation of joy, creativity, and purpose so that fear could not reclaim territory in their minds. Evening walks turned into quiet rituals of gratitude, where they voiced thanks for each step of progress and each lesson learned, recognizing that gratitude itself was a potent shield against despair. In moments of reflection, they acknowledged that the challenges they faced, though difficult, had already become sources of unexpected blessing, sharper discernment, stronger bonds, and a clearer vision of what truly mattered. This recognition inspired a renewed commitment to ongoing growth, an understanding that restoration was not a single event but a continuous process requiring attention, humility, and hope. As the parent and daughter looked ahead, they embraced the reality that life would still present obstacles and that vigilance must remain a lifelong practice, yet they no longer approached the future with anxiety. Instead, they carried a quiet confidence that wisdom gained and love strengthened would guide them through whatever unfolded. They learned to welcome each day as an opportunity to practice courage, to speak truth kindly, to forgive quickly, and to celebrate even the smallest moments of peace, knowing that such practices were the true victory over hidden battles. By holding fast to these disciplines, they transformed a season of trial into a legacy of strength, ensuring that the lessons of discernment, forgiveness, and steadfast faith would echo far beyond their own lives, offering guidance and hope to others who might one day face their own unseen struggles. As the weeks unfolded into months, the rhythm of this renewed life settled into a steady cadence of purpose and quiet strength, each day weaving fresh evidence that their commitment to vigilance and compassion was not only possible but profoundly rewarding, for the lessons learned had become living habits rather than distant ideals, and these habits infused every choice with clarity and calm. The parent and daughter continued to deepen their dialogue, refining the art of open conversation so that even difficult topics, future plans, relationships, personal dreams, could be explored without fear or secrecy, and this openness nurtured a bond that proved unbreakable because it rested on mutual respect rather than mere obligation. In these conversations, the daughter began to share her own insights, surprising her parent with wisdom beyond her years, demonstrating how the guidance once offered now returned as a mutual exchange, a reminder that teaching and learning were never one-sided but a shared journey where each participant grows. They both recognized that the earlier season of challenge had quietly trained them to notice subtle cues in human behavior, to discern when words concealed intentions, and to remain patient and curious instead of reactive. Such discernment became a gift that enriched their interactions not only within the family but in friendships, school, and community life. Their home gradually transformed into a place of refuge and inspiration for others. Friends and neighbors drawn to the atmosphere of peace would visit, share stories, and find encouragement, often remarking on the unspoken sense of safety and kindness that seemed to permeate the rooms, a testament to how steadfast love and careful practices can shape even the physical environment. Together they initiated small community gatherings focused on dialogue, creativity, and mutual support, offering a space where people could discuss personal challenges, celebrate victories, and strengthen one another's resolve to live with integrity. These gatherings became a subtle but powerful form of spiritual watch, reinforcing the very circle of trust that had once protected them in their own trial. Beyond these outward expressions, their inner lives also flourished. Moments of reflection in the stillness of early morning or under starlit skies became opportunities for gratitude and quiet prayer, where they acknowledged the mysterious ways in which hope had guided them and thanked the source of all light for turning hardship into transformation. During these reflections, they often revisited the early days of uncertainty, recognizing how far they had come from the fear that once gripped them, and this remembrance did not stir anxiety but rather deep appreciation for the resilience that adversity had awakened. Forgiveness, once a deliberate discipline, now felt as natural as breathing. It became a constant undercurrent that allowed them to release minor grievances quickly, keeping their hearts unburdened and their spirits free to focus on growth and service. The daughter, inspired by the strength and patience she had witnessed, began to mentor younger peers at school, quietly sharing the principles of self-respect and wise decision-making, and through this she discovered her own calling to help others navigate life's pressures with confidence and grace. Her parent watched with quiet pride, understanding that the very challenges once feared had become the foundation for her leadership and compassion, and this realization brought a deep, satisfying peace. Together they continued to celebrate small victories, a heartfelt conversation with a friend who needed encouragement, a successful resolution to a minor conflict, a shared laugh after a long day, each moment a reminder that true success is measured not in dramatic events but in daily faithfulness to what is good and true. They also remained attentive to the broader world, reading, learning, and staying informed so that they could respond wisely to new circumstances without being swayed by rumor or panic. This balanced awareness fortified their ability to face whatever future twists might arise. When challenges inevitably appeared, a misunderstanding at work, an unexpected financial strain, they approached them not with alarm but with the practiced patience and trust they had cultivated, and each challenge became another opportunity to reinforce their principles and demonstrate the quiet power of steady faith. Over time, their story inspired distant relatives and longtime friends, who found in their example a model of how families can navigate secrecy, betrayal, and fear without losing hope or resorting to bitterness, and many sought their advice, grateful for the practical and spiritual wisdom they freely shared. Through it all, they maintained a humble recognition that their strength was not solely their own. They credited the guidance of a loving presence greater than themselves, a presence that had invited them to courage from the very beginning, and this acknowledgement kept them grounded, grateful, and generous. As seasons changed and years passed, the family's journey stood as a quiet beacon to others, proving that steadfast love, clear discernment, and the willingness to forgive can turn even the most hidden battles into stories of restoration and joy, and in this enduring light they found their deepest fulfillment, carrying forward the assurance that their future, once threatened by unseen bargains, now unfolded in freedom and peace. As time flowed forward, their lives became a living testament to the quiet strength that grows when love and wisdom are deliberately cultivated, a strength that no sudden storm could undo, and each day unfolded like a new chapter in an ongoing story of transformation and grace. The family's home, once shadowed by tension and uncertainty, now resonated with laughter, creativity, and purposeful calm. Morning routines carried a sense of reverence, and evenings glowed with conversation and music that reflected the harmony they had worked so diligently to build. The daughter, now a young adult, carried within her a calm assurance rare for her age, born of hard-won discernment and the knowledge that her worth could never be defined by others' expectations or hidden agendas, and she used that confidence to nurture friendships founded on mutual respect and honest communication. Her parent watched with gratitude as she became a quiet leader among peers, guiding others to recognize their own inner strength and to make choices free from fear, proving that the lessons once taught in moments of urgency had matured into a lifelong gift she could share with the world. Together they continued to nurture the community gatherings that had begun during their earlier trials, creating spaces where neighbors and newcomers alike found support, hope, and encouragement to face their own unseen challenges, and these gatherings grew into a small movement of kindness and clarity that rippled outward beyond their neighborhood. Their story became an example of how adversity, when met with courage and compassion, can become a seed of far-reaching good, demonstrating that the very struggles once dreaded can be transformed into opportunities for service and inspiration. Even as life presented new responsibilities and inevitable uncertainties, a career decision here, a health concern there, they navigated each moment with the calm assurance that wisdom and love would again guide them, trusting that the principles of forgiveness, clear communication, and steadfast faith would remain their compass. They learned to embrace change as a natural companion to growth, welcoming each new season as a chance to deepen their understanding and extend their circle of care. Over time, their journey touched lives far beyond those they met personally. Friends shared their story, community members carried its lessons into other towns, and strangers wrote letters describing how the family's example helped them choose hope over despair, patience over panic, and reconciliation over resentment. Through all these developments, the family maintained a quiet humility, always emphasizing that their transformation was not a product of perfection but of persistence, not a grand miracle but a daily practice of choosing love, truth, and forgiveness. Their evenings often ended with moments of reflective gratitude, recalling how far they had come from the fearful days of secrecy and hidden deals, and those memories no longer held pain but instead shone as proof that darkness, when faced with courage and guided by steadfast care, cannot endure. The daughter, now charting her own future with confidence, often paused to thank her parent for the unwavering presence and gentle wisdom that had shaped her path, and the parent, in turn, thanked her for the joy and growth she had brought into their life, recognizing that their bond was now stronger, freer, and more beautiful than either could have imagined at the start of their journey. Together they understood that their story was not merely personal but universal, a reminder to anyone who hears it that no hidden threat, no secret bargain, and no quiet betrayal is greater than the enduring force of love joined with patient wisdom. As they looked toward the horizon of new possibilities, careers, friendships, perhaps families of their own, they carried with them the unshakable conviction that the same guiding light that had brought them through darkness would continue to illuminate every step ahead, ensuring that their legacy would be one of hope, discernment, and generosity. And so their lives, once marked by anxiety and uncertainty, became a living invitation to others, an invitation to trust the slow work of love, to forgive courageously, to speak truth kindly, and to believe that even the deepest trials can be transformed into lasting peace and joy. In sharing their journey, they offered not a rigid formula but a gentle encouragement for all who listen to nurture their own inner strength and to build communities of care, knowing that the smallest acts of steadfast compassion can ripple outward to heal and inspire far beyond what we can see.